Welcome to another edition of Boxing Info. This is going to be the end of the results show and the schedule for next week. I was just starting this talk about the Golden Boy pay-per-view card, in which, they're nuts to think somebody's going to fork out $40 for this thing. If you're watching on the internet, good for you. And listen, as much as I beg and rag on Golden Boy and Golden Boy Promotions, this isn't their fault. HBO decided that they weren't going to air this, or Showtime already had obviously programming on with the Bradley Holt thing, and maybe HBO didn't want to go against it. Who knows? But in any event, this was on pay-per-view because TV would not pick it up or pay enough money to pay all these fighters. So let's go over them real quick. This was Lightweight Lightning. Rolando Reyes, who hasn't fought very much in a while, scored a convincing 5th round TKO in a fight that there was no action until about the 4th or 5th round, in which he landed a combination that cut Diaz and deposited him on the canvas, and the follow-up stopped the fight. Good win for Reyes. Julio Diaz, the showers. You're about done. I respect what you've done, but it's time to go. And this card was basically for, it gets worse as it goes on. Vicente Escobedo, who's one of Golden Boy's prospects, scored a 10-round decision over Carlos Famaso Hernandez, who has seen better days a long time ago, but still fights on because I guess he needs the money or something. And Escobedo, I'm not real high on this guy. I don't know. He just has not ever seemed to impress me when I've watched him. And I will give him this. Hernandez is a live underdog and a former world champion, but I don't believe that if you think of Escobedo competing against the Katsidises or the Valeros or the Marquezes of the world, I just don't see it happening. And maybe he needs some more seasoning and more fights, because he's not really a youngster, but I don't know. I just don't know if there's room on a card for him, is what I'm saying, to capture my attention. That's all I'll say about him. I have nothing negative to say. It is what it is. Then Michael Katsidis fought a high-contact fight with Jesus Chavez. I knew this was going to be the fight of the night, and while it lasted, it was. And of course, Katsidis was bruised and starting to ooze blood, and Jesus Chavez, I think, has just been a guy who has had the worst luck possible. I remember when he was coming up, and he put on a great performance against Floyd Mayweather, in which Mayweather was winning the fight, and Ronnie Shields stopped that fight to save Chavez for later, and Chavez won the vacant title after Mayweather abdicated. But I think with all the injuries he has suffered, an ill-advised fight with Eric Morales, and then the Leander Johnson fight, I think that it's all caught up to him, and Katsidis is just too big and strong and really muscled him around, and finally Chavez couldn't come out of his corner, and it was a TKO for Katsidis. Katsidis back in the mix finally after back-to-back losses to Casamayor and Juan Diaz. And it's going to, Katsidis is there to make exciting fights, and I expect him to. And then the main event was the vacant WBC strap in the lightweight division, in which Manny Pacquiao has given up, that he just wrenched away from David Diaz, in which Edwin Valero was fighting Antonio Pitalua. And I don't know whether the broadcasters let you in on this, but in some people's minds, Pitalua actually can argue that he was the linear lightweight champion. I'm not going to argue with all of you that, I know Marquez is and this and that, because Marquez has beaten Casamayor and he's beaten Juan Diaz and so on and so forth. But this is when I got into an argument back when I had the other show. And the reason why Jose Jacu is basically knocked off of YouTube before I got knocked off YouTube. The lineage went like this. We all agreed that Diego Corrales was the linear lightweight champion when he beat Jose Luis Castillo. And then Casamayor beat and won a decision over Corrales. There are many people, including a lot of boxing writers and myself, that believe that Jose Armando Santa Cruz nearly shut out Casamayor on the undercard of the Cotto Mosley undercard, and people are calling him the uncrowned lightweight champion of the world. Well, that crazy one-point split decision loss, in which Casamayor was on the deck in that fight, preserved the Ring Magazine belt, in which Marquez then took from him. Well, here's the way I look at it. What happened, if the right thing would have happened that night, Santa Cruz would have won that belt, and maybe he would have lost to Marquez, who knows. But Pitalua fought Santa Cruz next and knocked him out in 5 rounds. So I guess I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but there's still a little bit of unfinished business until Marquez beats Valero, or somebody beats Valero. That lineage goes through Valero, through Petaluma, through Santa Cruz, through Casamayor, back through Corrales and Castillo, and so on and so forth. I personally think the lightweight champion of the world is Juan Manuel Marquez. I'm just bringing this up because I know a lot of you are thinking to yourself, why did this Petaluma guy get a fight with Valero and get blown out in 2 rounds? This is why. He blew out Santa Cruz in 5 rounds, and now Valero just unleashed his fury on him in 3 rounds. Now the thing is, a lot of people have written and asked, why does this guy keep his chin stuck up in the air and all this other kind of stuff? And the best thing I can tell you is that he's a raw talent. I don't think he's ready for the Pacquiaos and the Marquezes of the world, but stranger things have happened. It was a really good win for Valero. Hopefully we'll get to see him in the United States again. And that about did it for the results. Alright, real quick, coming up in the news this week, because I'm running out of time again, ESPN2 on Friday night, David Lopez is fighting Ozzy Duran in a 10-round junior middleweight fight. Also, Hector Sanchez is fighting DeMarcus Chop Chop Coley for some reason in an 8-round junior welterweight fight, which should be interesting. Timothy Bradley will be in the studio. So that'll be Friday night. Also, and I don't think this is being televised, but in Tampa, Jeff Lacey's taking on Otis Griffin to headline a card down there. Now, on the 11th, HBO from Las Vegas, Paul Williams taking on Winky Wright. And Cristobal Arreola is taking on Jamil McCline. I expect Cristobal Arreola to outwork Jamil McCline. Everybody always does. If he comes in a smidgen out of shape or disinterested, and Jamil McCline is right, there could be an upset. I'm not betting on it. I'm not guaranteeing it. But in any event, Paul Williams versus Winky Wright's an interesting fight, and I am going to, they're fighting at middleweight. There are a couple of intangibles. One is, Paul Williams, this is obviously the best fighter of his career he's ever fought. Winky Wright's been on the shelf for a while, and he's been injured, and I'm not sure, his last fight was that rough fight with Bernard Hopkins, and I would, under ordinary circumstances, give the edge to Winky Wright, but with those things being said, and the fact that I think that Williams is hungrier, he might outwork him. The disadvantage that Williams has going for him is that his reach is going to be nullified by both of them being lefties, at least to some point, because Winky's going to probably out-jab him. It's whether or not Winky can be busy enough to keep up with Williams. I'm going to venture to say that I think Williams may eke out a decision. We'll have to see. I don't see a knockout occurring in this fight unless Wright somehow cracks Williams one time good. And that's going to be it for the schedule for this week. Couple things in the news. The Vladimir Klitschko and David Haye fight's been signed. It is going to take place in a German soccer stadium in the town of, or the city of, I should say. I did not write this down. Gelsenkirchen? Gelsenkirchen. Not sure where that is, but anyway, it seats 61,673 people for soccer matches or football matches, so we're going to see how it goes with the boxing. And the couple things, Klitschko's management company and promotional company has now rights over Haye's next 2 fights. If he beats Vladimir Klitschko, what I've read is he has to fight Vitaly Klitschko. If he beats Vitaly Klitschko on top of Vlad Klitschko, he has to fight a rematch with Vlad Klitschko before he's free again. David Haye's the one who's calling for this fight. Don't cry for him. He wants this. He's going to get what he deserves one way or another. And that's going to about do it. Also, Oscar De La Hoya is going to announce on the 14th of April what his intentions are as far as retiring or strapping on the gloves again and going into the ring. That's going to be it for this show. Thanks, everybody.